My damnation came in the form of a bottle. No, not like that. When I was a child, my best friend lived next to a little junkyard. Great place for a kid to hang out, a junkyard, full of mystery and exciting discoveries. And if you find anything nice, nobody minds if you take it. Except your parents, obviously. Well, not my friend's mom. Most of their bowls and plates came from that junkyard. One day a bunch of us were hanging out, dismantling a car. Some of us might have been interested in the parts. I just thought breaking stuff was great. When we got down to the engine strewn everywhere, we were set to work on the interior. Under one of the seats was a little glass bottle full of something green, bubbly liquid. Curiosity trumped hygiene in those days. I uncorked it and sniffed it. The smell was pleasant, minty, a little floral. One kid, Jackie, dared me to drink it. It was a double dog dare. I had to. The taste was also pleasant, and it warmed me on the way down. My body was filled with a strange, pleasant tingling. Nothing else happened. Not until that night. The first effect. I couldn't sleep. I haven't needed sleep since. It's all right. I get a lot done. Second effect. A month later, I started to cough things up. I was playing alone in the woods and I hacked up blood. There were chunks in the blood. Then I was puking. The entirety of my coiled long intestine came snaking up as I sat there quivering, tears on my cheeks, struggling to breathe, literally puking my guts up. My mouth seemed to unhinge like a snake's to accommodate my lungs. My heart was on my sleeve. The bloodstain would never have come out if I hadn't abandoned the clothes I was wearing. The police searched frantically for a missing person, but they never found a thing. I wasn't empty when I finished, though. New organs built up inside of me. I could feel them. I could see them when I closed my eyes. Nameless lumps and spirals springing out of nothing. The third effect, 2 months later, I began to crave the water. I can't possibly describe the feeling of thirsty skin, but it was a desperate thirst. I left my parents' house one night and walked until I came to a swamp. I moved in. The murky, bud-filled water feels like home now, as they did all those years ago. I sit under the water, watching the fish and salamanders get eaten by birds, looking at the surface, waiting for my prey. I'm sure you know what the fourth effect was. I'm typing this on the cell phone of my latest victim. She was delicious. She smelt like fresh melons. A young woman on her way to town broke her journey by staying with friends at an old manor house. Her bedroom looked out to the carriage sweep at the front door. It was a moonlit night and she found it difficult to sleep. As the clock outside her bedroom door struck 12, she heard the noises of horses' hooves on the gravel outside and the sound of wheels. She got up and went over to the window to see who could be arriving at that time of night. The moonlight was very bright and she saw a hearse drive up to the door. It hadn't a coffin in it, instead was crowded with people. The coachman sat high up on the box. As he came up opposite the window, he drew up and turned his head. His face terrified her, and he said in a distant voice, "There's room for one more." She drew back the curtain, ran back to bed, and covered her head with the bedclothes. In the morning she was not quite sure whether it had been a dream or whether she had got out of bed and seen the hearse, but she was glad to go up to town and leave this old house behind her. She was shopping in a big store which had an elevator in it, an up-to-date thing at the time. She was on the top floor and went into the elevator to go down. It was rather crowded, but as she came up to it, the elevator operator turned his head and said, "There's room for one more." It was the face of the coachman of the hearse. "No, thank you," said the girl. I'll walk down." She turned away. The elevator doors clanged. There was a terrible rush and screaming and shouting, and then a great clatter and a thud. The elevator had fallen, and every soul in it was killed. Did you ever see one of those videos where you were asked to look for something or follow a specific thing throughout the video? Then, at the end, they reveal that as we're watching, something large and intrusive moved around in plain sight and you never even noticed it. It's frightening how often that happens. Like how I just moved from the doorway into your room as you read this. Memories. They're how we know what happened. Everything you remember goes into who you are, why you act the way you do. It's a shame that people are not afflicted by the things they cannot remember, especially you. Memories are funny like that. Sometimes when something so wonderfully frightening happens to you, your silly mind blocks it out to protect you. Well, it might think that it's doing you a favor. It kills me to see it take those things away from you. Amazing things have happened to you. Horrible things have happened to you. Even if you've forgotten, I will always remember. I was there with you every step of the way. I was standing in the shadows, watching you, tormenting you. You have such exquisite fear. I can't get enough of it. Over and over, I put you through the most exciting times of your life, watching each time as you collapse upon yourself in mindless terror. You're exhilarating. If only I could watch you suffer forever. But that silly mind of yours, each time you forget what fun we've had and go on like nothing's ever happened. You even read stories about horrific things, and you take pleasure in those horrors as I do. Yet, you could never even fathom how grand it is to watch you endure them. None of those stories could amount up to the terrors you faced. I want to have more fun with you and spend more time with you. I want to watch you screech in dismay again and again. I want you to experience your agony 1,000,000 times over. I only wish you would remember the dread I put in you. I wish that you would remember me and cry out in the night. It delights me thoroughly every time you see one of my abominations. You're so resourceful, always finding a way to live without losing any of your limbs. If only I could watch you die as you scream, so scared for your life. If only that last memory you had was of me, making you drown in your fears as you begged for mercy, tears streaming down your face. I'd tell you I love you, and I would thank you for all the great times you've let me share with you. I think I would be truly happy as I watched you sink into your final dying despair. If you were smart, you wouldn't turn out those lights and pretend you're not hearing strange noises. You wouldn't distract yourself and remain alone, convinced that you'll be okay. Do you remember what happened the last time you did? No, I suppose you wouldn't. You start noticing those words when you're going about your day-to-day business, just flipping through the classifieds or posted on telephones near bridges, normal places, just words that seem to be catching your eye. Then they start appearing more randomly. The first 7 tiles you pick in a Scrabble, the first spoonful of alphabet soup, even those stupid spams sent to you by strangers. You even check a few of them, but they all end up being from the same old pills and promises. Now it's getting so everything you read has those words cropped up. Closed caption TV shows, book titles, CDs, bus schedules, menus, everywhere. It's distracting, very, very distracting. It's so very hard to concentrate when words squiggle out of the corner of your eye, when the keyboard's no longer a QWERTY, but get the help, get the help, get the help, get the help. The delusion's taking its toll. Who needs help? Who's sending you this message? Why you? How can you help someone who you don't even know? You're trying to type an email to a friend. It's very hard to do. The letters keep swimming and you add an apology in the email just in case your writing's garbled. You finally hit send. You wake up. You're in the hospital. Your friend is sitting beside you. I was so worried, he says. When you sent that email, get help, get help, get help, over and over. I came over and found you on the floor. They had to do surgery. Do you know what they found? A second brain. Tiny, but fully formed. Growing in your head. It was blocking an artery. You're lucky to be alive. But you aren't really listening to your friend anymore. You're staring at a fire escape diagram near your bed. It doesn't say anything about fire safety at all. Finally, it says, it was getting crowded in there. If you like what you heard, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. If you'd like to, you can follow me at Twitter. The handle is @FuzzyPantaloons, and I'll see you all next time.